Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you a Pyromancer Sorcerer build guide in Baldur's Gate 3. So this is a mod that's made by Havsglimt here, and it's based on Iriazi's Fire Mage, which is kind of based on World of Warcraft's Fire Mage. So with this we get an increased critical hit chance, and when we land critical hits we also get the ability to cast Firebolt as a bonus action, and we add our Charisma modifier to it as well. And additionally, we get Ignite stacks later on, which will deal our Charisma modifier to enemies, and we can explode them and make it deal an area of effect damage to enemies. It's really cool. Now for cantrips, I'd recommend grabbing Mage Hand. You can use it to throw grease bottles at the enemy to set up fire terrain. We also got Minor Illusion, so you can group enemies together later on to drop Fireball on a number of them. Bone Chill for the targets that receive healing, we can stop that. And then Friends, if we're the face of the party. Otherwise, you could take something like Ray of Frost or Shocking Grasp. Now for the spells, we'll be grabbing Shield for +5 to armor class, huge. And also Magic Missile for the guaranteed damage. We will naturally get Firebolt and Burning Hands from this, and then add our Charisma modifier to that Firebolt. And then we'll roll with 16 Dexterity, 16 Charisma, and 14 Constitution. You can also put some points into, take the points and put them into Charisma if you wanted to use the Hags here on your Charisma there. But I find this stat spread works. You can swap Constitution, Dexterity if you prefer. I just like having higher initiative and armor class on my Sorcerer. And at level 2, we get to choose between some more spells. I'd recommend grabbing Mage Armor just to be able to give yourself some survivability. But Thunder Wave is nice too for the pushback. And for the meta magic, Distance Spell will increase our spell's range. It's great if you can't hit a target. And then Twin Spell to be able to twin haste onto you and another teammate. It's one of the best ways you can use your action. Level 3, we get ourselves Scorching Ray. So we do get some fire-based spells here, which is nice because we were going to take this regardless. But at level 3, this now lets us set up and take a very powerful combination with Whole Person, which will give us free critical hits on our Scorching Ray, which will then give us a free a Firebolt cantrip as a bonus action. Pretty crazy synergy here. And we also get to take the Quicken Spell Meta Magic, which lets us cast a spell as a bonus action, so later on you can drop down a Fireball as a bonus action. Level 4 gives us another choice in cantrip. I guess we could go with Shocking Grasp to get away from the enemies if you need to. And then for our next leveled spell, I'd grab Misty Step or Mirror Image to increase your armor class by 9. You could also grab Cloud of Daggers for guaranteed damage. Crown of Madness is a pretty fun spell as well. And for our first feat at level 4, either the Alert feat for the +5 to initiative, or go with an increase to our Charisma here. I like Alert, but you can go with the stat spread or the stat increase here. Now at level 5, we get access to Fireball, amazing spell. We also then get another choice, and I'd recommend grabbing Haste because you can then haste yourself and another teammate, and then with your next action you can drop a Fireball if you wanted to. Counterspell is another really good option though. You're kind of between those two. And Lightning Bolt is another really great spell, although we can take this a little bit later on. When we get to level 4 spells, there's mainly just one we want to take, and it's not really thematic for this build. Now at level 6 we get another subclass ability with the Blazing Barrier. So basically you'll get temporary health equals to 5 plus your sorcerer level, and when the barrier is active and you are attacked by a creature within 3 meters, that creature takes fire damage equal to half your sorcerer level. So if we go to level 20, that's 10 fire damage, pretty nice. Now for our next leveled feat, our next spell, we'll go with the haste here. And at level 7, we get Wall of Fire, which is a good concentration because it is kind of crowd control. It forces the enemies into certain ways of movement. Now, Ice Storm is really good. It doesn't fit thematically here, so you can still grab it. I like to have the crowd control just to create difficult terrain. You can also go back and grab Lightning Bolt if you just don't want to go with an ice-based spell just for thematic purposes, but it's good to have. Level 8 gives us another choice here with Confusion being a good choice and Lightning Bolt being another good one. Just nice to have Lightning Bolt in case there's a lot of enemies lined up. We'll then go with actually another good choice is the Elemental Adept and going with the Fire here because this will allow us to not re-roll a 1, and also we can ignore resistances to fire damage. So this could actually be one that we take a little bit earlier if you prefer. At level 9, we get our Pyroblast here. So basically this does a 6d12 to one target, and then anyone nearby will take a 3d12 of fire damage, so it's kind of like a Fireball mini, but it does decent bit of damage there, and level 5 spell here. We also get access to other level 5 spells, with Hold Monster being a very powerful one, Cone of Cold being great too, and if you got a Cleric with Hero's Feast, you can then use Cloud Kill to protect your entire team. And we'll take another cantrip here. I guess poison doesn't really matter here. You can go with Bursting Sinew. And then we'll grab Hold Monster. Insect Plague also being a decent crowd control option. We get another meta magic here, so we can go Careful Spell to protect our teammates if we accidentally shoot at them. Level 11 gives us a subclass feature, Ignite. Now, this is a really fun ability. So if you've learned how to make your magic burn with an especially violent heat, when you deal fire damage to a creature, they get a stack of Ignite. And on it, up to a maximum of 5 stacks, at the start of the creature's turn, it takes fire damage equal to your Charisma modifier or twice that amount if it has 5 stacks of Ignite. On a successful Dexterity saving throw, the creature loses the stack of Ignite. And when you land a critical hit with a spell that deals fire damage, 2 nearby hostile creatures gain a stack of Ignite. and this will get scaled up a little bit higher as we get later in levels. We also get the Investiture of Flame here, level 6 spell, drape yourself in flames, shedding bright light in a 9 meters and granting you immunity to fire damage and resistance to cold damage until long rest, and it's a concentration. It's tough to hold a concentration, something like that, but we also then get Chain Lightning, a much superior level 6 spell, and Sunbeam can make sense because it's kind of like a beam of concentrated heat energy, so that can be a good choice too. Level 12, I guess Disintegrate's another fun thematic choice. I like to always take Globe of Invulnerability, just protecting the team is really useful. And then we'll take the Alert feat at this level for that +5 to our initiative, just making sure that we do go first in some of the more challenging level pack 3 fights. At level 13, so I guess we don't have to go to level 20 if you don't want to. I'm just going to do it to show off all the subclass features that come with this build, but if you're fine with just level 12, that is cool too. But we don't really need any of the other spells, so we'll grab Sunbeam there. Level 14 just gives us another spell slot, and then level 15 gives us the Combustion, so wreath your hands in white hot flames, allowing you to cast superheated spells with unrivaled effect. For the duration, the number you need to roll a critical hit will attack when the spell is reduced by an additional 2, plus the other one that we got, and when you do it deals an additional 8 fire damage. Additionally, Ignite spreads to an additional creature, so 3 creatures now on critical hit, and when you make a spell attack with advantage, and you make spell attacks with advantage against those that have Ignite, so that's really good. Combustion is very powerful. We also can then take another spell. Is again not really anything here that we need. For the next feat, we'll go with an increase to our charisma, or we can go with Warcaster, or even Spell Sniper if you wanted Eldritch Blast really badly. Level 17, just another choice in spell and another meta magic. I'd recommend, I guess, heightened spell, or I guess extended spell maybe. Again, nothing here we really need. Our final feat, I'd recommend grabbing the tough feat. If we're going to level 20, getting ourselves extra 40 health is just great because, yeah, it's good to survive. And then level 20 here. So yeah, you could multi-class this if you want. I just want to focus on the Sorcerer. And the outfit mod is from Celestial Threads by Arideyya on Nexus mods. Alright, so for gear, the Hatafire Cutie, by far the best choice here. So whenever you deal fire damage, you gain Arcane Acuity for 2 turns. There is another option though. If you have this on another character, you can go with the Pyro Quickness Hat, as when you deal fire damage with a leveled spell, you burn yourself and get an additional bonus action. This means that you can do a fire damage, get yourself that bonus action firebolt, and then give yourself the bonus action quicken spell, which is kind of a cool combination, although it is sometimes a little bit buggy. I just want to mention that. We also got ourselves a Cloak of Protection here, giving ourselves increased armor class. This is the one build where the Hellish Armor just makes the most sense. So basically, whenever you succeed a saving throw, the caster will receive Burning for 3 turns. You also get a resistance to fire damage, which is fine because we get that from one of our abilities too, and we're proficient in it. We can fly with this armor. Although in the early game, you're going to want to use probably the Potent Robe to add your charisma modifier even further on top of Firebolt, or also like the Robe of Supreme Defense is there. If you hold a concentration of Wall of Fire, you get an additional armor class, and then use Mage Armor. I'm going to use the Hellish Armor. This is a mod build, and it just makes sense. Now the Gemini Gloves is perfect for this. So this is, I like these items. This doesn't always make the best sense to use on a build because there's some decent gloves, but cantrips targeting foes can deal target an additional target, and the same target can be chosen twice, and it's a per short rest ability, but this allows us to do our bonus action Firebolt at 2 targets. Kind of cool. And we also get the Boots of Stormy Clamor because we're going to be applying Ignite, which will then apply Reverberation, potentially knocking the targets prone, which is kind of cool because that'll end their turns. Now, the Callous Glow Ring here will give us 2 extra points of radiant damage to burn the enemies even further when we're illuminated, and we'll also apply Radiating Orbs so they get -2 to their attack rolls. It's really good, in combination with the Amulet of Greater Health to give our Constitution score to 23. We also got Marka Heshker because we got the Fire Kreska's Favor, which will give us our heat charges. There's not a lot of good fire gear in this game, and this is honestly one of the best in the game. You could also use like the Cinder Moth shoes. That's another choice. When you burn an enemy, you gain 2 turns of heat. There is a few different pieces of fire gear, but I found these just work best. We also got Viconia's Walking Fortress and the Hellrider Longbow for that +3 to our initiative. Now, if you know you're getting into a fight, you can put on your Blazing Barrier and your Combustion here ahead of time so that you're already pre-buffed. And then if you want to concentrate on Investiture of Flame, this will give us that light that'll activate our gear, and we'll also get immunity to fire damage and resistance to cold damage. I prefer a concentration of Wall of Fire, though. Or Twinned Haste. Alright, so we got blessed with how the enemies are literally lined right up perfectly for a fireball here. It's crazy. Pyroblast is fun too, but the area of effect is much smaller. We could also drop down a Wall of Fire here, but honestly, this was just perfect for a fireball. We could also go with a Scorching Ray. Actually, a good way to stack this is because we want to get our spell save DC up a little bit higher. We can hit all these targets here, so what we could actually do is go with an upcasted Scorching Ray at this backline target here. And then we can take them out of the question while also raising our spell save DC up really high. That was a critical hit, so we were able to fly a bit of fire damage around. And boom, our spell save DC is now 30, which is great. meaning that when we drop a fireball right here, we're going to have a very high chance of hitting it and dropping a bunch of damage and burning everyone there. One of the crazy things is Call the Weak will actually do a splash damage in that area, so yeah, we scorch them really well. And we could also go crazy and do a quicken spell, but I'm going to give them some mercy. We'll just go with our dual casted bonus action firebolt that does a 40-10 of fire damage, ignoring resistances. You do have to activate your adroit caster from your gloves here. We can also use heat convergence too if we really want to be a annoyance. And then we'll just go ahead here with a 95% hit chance, double critical hit with the radiant damage. And yeah, that is pretty crazy. A lot of fire damage there. Oof. So the first firebolt hit for 43 damage with the 2 additional radiant damage, and then the second one hit for 61 and additional 2 radiant damage, and then the psychic damage, and then we somehow got a 30 off there. And for some reason, it's also proccing our bow's fiendish fire there, so yeah, it's kind of cool too. And we always want to have counterspell on the ready, saving our reaction for things like that, where we could have been really shut down as we lose our buffs. And here's the perfect time for us to actually use Pyroblast, as it has a really short range right there. It's much less than the fireball, but we can throw it there, and that was enough to take them out, dealing additional radiant damage. I don't know why we're proccing it twice, but then if it chained over there, we got the ignite stack on them, so if we were just to end our turn, they would get, I'll just end it. They took the fire damage, used our charisma modifier, which is great. If we had the birthright hat, that would have been 6 damage, which is still really good that we got that much off, and it'll do a saving throw to reduce the ignite there, but they didn't, and they still have that ignite charge, so then we can obviously finish them off with one of our other fire spells. I guess I'll just use the Pyroblast there. It's pretty cool. And boom, there it is. Finish them off. 45 damage. That is the Pyromancer Sorcerer by Havsglimt on mod.io, now available on console. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Hit the subscribe button below if you enjoyed. I hope you have a great day, and we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.